Welcome to the implementation series for MyVision Express. And throughout these series, we're going to be mostly concerned about setup, um, inventory, and those sorts of things. And before we get into inventory, we are going to discuss setting up procedure codes. And it's a good idea to start with procedure codes because most of your inventory items, the charge that's associated with them is going to be reflected from the UNC from the procedure code itself. Now, these procedure codes are used for insurance billing. So if you're not planning on using insurance billing within MyVision Express, then you don't need to set up procedure codes. However, if you are, you will want to set them up here at File, Setup, Procedure Codes. Now this is the table that you see right here, and these are the procedure codes that are installed with MyVision Express. And these are codes that are associated mostly with optometry and ophthalmology. And on the right hand side of the table, you can easily see that you can add a procedure code by clicking this button. You can delete a procedure code. I advise not to delete procedure codes. If you don't wish to use procedure codes that are shown here, you can always deactivate it by unchecking this box right here. Right here, you can filter with this button, and in this table here is the criteria that will condense the size of the lists that are specific to the criteria itself. So in the code, if I type V21, which is actually just part of the procedure code, but enough to filter with, once I click OK, you'll see that these procedure codes are the ones that are associated with V2100 and single vision. If you click on this import button right here, you should be able to access a national lookup for updating any ICD-10 codes. And if you subscribe to VSP, you can import VSP codes, and those will have parameters like option codes and the like that VSP includes within their procedure codes. And also recommend, if you do subscribe to VSP, then you'll want to go ahead and import all of their codes as you will need them. These are the details below that you see for this associated procedure code itself. Obviously, here's the code. This is the type of code. The description really is for your own purposes, because once it's billed in insurance, the only thing that really matters is the procedure code itself, as well as the option code that VSP might assign to a certain procedure code. But one thing that you'll clearly want to set up is specifying your UNC for this procedure code. So for instance, for V2100, you may specify it at $70. From here out, anything in your inventory that has this procedure code in it, whether it, for instance, a lens itself, this will be associated with the charge that goes to the insurance claim for the code. Now, we recommend, we talk about three procedure codes in particular, and that would be V2100, V2200, and V2300 that you'll want to pay attention to. All three of these codes have series codes at the end that are specific to the strength of the prescription of the lens itself. As you can see in this list right here, anything from 02, 03, 04, these are all going to be related to the strength of the prescription. But the only one that you really want to set up the UNC for and specify the charge is V2100, because at the order level, when an item is added to an order and then a prescription is applied to that order, these series codes will be calculated on the back end, and the charge itself will be derived from this V2100 procedure code. So go ahead and specify your UNC for V2100, and then it'll ask you if you want to update the retail price. Once you try to save that, which you'll say yes, And then here you go back to filter and you can look at all your bifocal procedure codes. You can click on the top of this column here to sort. And here for V2200, you'll do the exact same thing and specify your UNC. Once that is done, one last time, go to V23, and you're now looking at your trifocals, and do the same for that. For V2300, specify your UNC. Now, one thing you might be considering is if you wish to charge more at a certain point at a certain threshold for the strength of a prescription, and that's going to be covered more in training with a pricing grid or a prism grids that allows you to charge even more on top of what your procedure code UNC may be. So at this point in the implementation, what you need to do first of all is go throughout the procedure codes and set up your UNC, specify what you want them to be. And remember, as we demonstrated, that when you do that, when you change the UNC itself, it's just going to ask if you want to update the retail prices on all the items that have that one procedure code associated with it. So you'll click yes. And you can actually clear the filter that we applied, and this will go back to the original list. And again, if you want to, if you want to concentrate on certain types of procedure codes to filter out, I mean, you can do so right here. Whatever sorts of procedure codes you want to begin with. And you may very well just need to go through them and see which ones that you're going to either activate or deactivate or specify your UNC for your inventory items. Once you're done with that, we can move on to inventory itself, where those items will have procedure codes in them that you've already completed the implementation for.